Welcome to Cooking for Yummies on the Maple Knoll Radio Network. Coming to you from the Cromer-Mashburn Family Studio at WMKV. On this program, we explore the world of food, from the grocery store to the specialty store, and from the restaurant to your own kitchen. In doing so, we learn more about us as well.
Thank you for joining us. It's Cooking for Yummies here on WMKV and WLHS. We always enjoy having a visit from the Kroger Company, Chef Aaron Neiman, joining us here by phone, and we're talking about some food ideas. I actually gleaned a few of these from the Kroger website where they have some easy meals. And Chef Aaron Neiman, thank you for joining us again here.
Thanks for having me, George.
One of the other things you and I were talking about just before the show, and I think this is great because you can do this whether you're adults making your own meal or kids love pizza. And I think it's really cool for them to make pizza because it strikes me that you can put healthier things on the pizza and the child in your family is more likely to eat it if they made it, maybe with green peppers or onions on them, as opposed to ordering it from your local pizza place. Making your own pizza, that can be year-round. Also, maybe even making your own salad bar. Some things that you might want to do. If you were making a pizza, how would you go about it?
I'd set out things like you said. I'd take some vegetables, maybe even throw some spinach out there, some mushrooms. And one of the fascinating things you said about letting the kids get involved is I think if they make the food, they are way more willing to try it. So if you go down that salad bar route, you could make a salad bar, but you could build your pizza off that salad bar. It doesn't have to be two things separately. You could definitely combine those items when you're preparing for that. And I think it would please the entire crowd because you can choose what you want. And if you make your food, you know you're going to eat it.
Maybe if the kids are one of those that are hard to get to eat things, they can also understand how different foods can be involved in different types of dishes. They might think of spinach or onions on a salad or tomatoes on a salad, and they might not be thinking about maybe having some onions or spinach on a pizza, mushrooms. And suddenly they realize that the food can be used in a lot of different ways, which might inspire them to become a chef like Chef Aaron Neiman.
Yeah, they could. That's definitely one way to get started. You don't start cooking by just going to school. You start cooking because you start cooking. I don't think you're wrong in any aspect of that. My kids definitely enjoy helping me out in the kitchen. There's obviously limitations. They can't use a knife or anything like that. But we've made pizza together, and they had a blast doing it. One of the best parts is lay down some parchment paper or some foil and let them make a little bit of a mess. You don't have to be a neat freak about it. Let them spill a little extra cheese on there. Let them get a little extra sauce. Showcase that you can put different cheeses. Not everything needs to be cheddar cheese in your life. Right. You can introduce some new cheeses. You can introduce some new toppings. We found out that our son loved salami, doing something like that, and started eating salami sandwiches at the age of 5 and 6. So there's definitely ways that you can introduce new foods without just having to throw it on the plate. And the vegetables are obviously one of those tough ones that it's really tough to get kids to dive into. There's a certain few that I've definitely met that are willing to eat it, and that's their favorite food. But that's not a very common existence. You definitely have to put a lot of effort into getting these kids to eat some of the green things.
When I was a kid, my father would eat hot slaw, the slaw with the vinegar and bacon on it and all this. And I would sit there and watch him. He was sweating while he was eating this hot slaw. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? First of all, it's shredded cabbage. What's the attraction? And it's one of those things where you start to acquire new tastes as an adult. And you go, wow, he really had something there. And I think, again, the kids being more involved, that empathy of, hey, I helped to create this, so I'm going to try it. I'm going to eat it. That's a great idea. And think of the mess kind of as food finger painting.
Yes.
So there are all kinds of fun ways to do this. And I imagine if you're making your own crust, even if you buy a pre-made crust in a store, you might even be able to cut it or trim it into animal shapes or something like that, the way people do with pancakes, right?
Correct. Actually, the one thing that we did is during Christmas, we made a Santa hat pizza. I shaped it into the shape of a Santa hat and actually rolled over the fuzzy brim. I rolled it over and I stuffed it with cheese, so I made a stuffed crust. And then we sprinkled some Parmesan cheese over it to give it that kind of fluffy look versus the rest of the pizza. It was a ton of fun. We made a video out of it, and the kids watch it back when they went to see it. It's really fun.
We're here with Chef Aaron Neiman from the Kroger Company, and we've done some wonderful programs with Kroger over the years with both Chef Aaron Neiman, but also Kroger and their involvement in some of the USO work with some of the food trucks that are going out to help military personnel. We're talking today about just some fun ideas that you can have, and we kind of started off unintentionally with how do we get kids involved with this, but you don't have to be a kid. You could be a kid at heart and make your own shaped pizza or whatever you'd like to do. Again, the salad bar, if it's just one or two of you eating, it's probably a lot easier to create your own little salad bar. If you've got 4 or 5 people in the family eating, you might have to have a few extra things out. And the key here is if you've got it out, you want to make sure that you observe food safety when you're leaving things out, correct?
Most definitely. The general rule of thumb is 4 hours. So if you're sitting out a salad bar, it's probably not going to reach that limit before you don't want to eat it anymore. So by all means, you can always put a pan of ice out and put some of your colder items sitting in maybe a plastic bowl on some ice, and it'll definitely keep it cooler across that time. You don't want to make your family sick or friends sick or any of that. And if you do end up having people over for some summer holidays, it's going to be hot. You know, you're grilling out, maybe use that for your lettuce, tomato, onions, that kind of thing. And if you're putting a salad together, maybe have a second bowl of lettuce sitting in the fridge that you could just swap it out, and maybe it doesn't have to sit on the countertop while you're doing it. But by all means, do your best to try to keep cold things cold and hot things hot. The temperatures you're looking for is below 41 and above 135 degrees to really avoid most of that bacteria growth during that time frame.
We haven't really talked much about lettuce on this show, and while we're talking about salad bars, part of that, I don't know, unless you're making a taco pizza, you're probably not using lettuce on your pizza, but lettuce in a salad bar, when I was a kid, and boy, I'm much older than you, Aaron, so you had iceberg lettuce, that's it. Heaven forbid you would ever see romaine or arugula or anything like this. What are some of your favorite additions to that foundation of a salad that might add a little more flavor, even a little more texture?
I'm a big fan of spinach. At Kroger, we have a mixed green mix that's already made up, and it's really easy just to throw in a bowl. It looks nice. It's got some of that kind of red cabbage look to it, spinach, some arugula, everything already kind of mixed in there. So you're getting a lot of different flavors and textures, and it looks really nice at the same time. But I know what you're saying about the iceberg. I grew up eating iceberg lettuce. There's still something about putting fresh iceberg on a sandwich, though. It definitely still has its place.
I still use that as a foundation, but I'll add a little romaine. But I'll start with a little bit of iceberg just out of tradition, if nothing else, if I'm making a salad. Or, as you said, on a sandwich, iceberg is my lettuce of choice if I'm putting it on a sandwich. You're right.
Oh, yeah. The lettuce choices have definitely expanded over time, and not everything is built to be, like we were saying earlier, even spinach is multi-purpose. Mm-hmm. You know, you can put it as a smoothie for health purposes. You can make a salad out of it. I don't mind putting it on a sandwich either, but again, with the romaines and things like that, you can take a romaine and you can cut it in half and you can grill it and make a hot Caesar salad or a hot wedge, you know, put some blue cheese dressing with some bacon on there. Come tomato season, you're going to be putting some fresh tomatoes right on top of that. So there's definitely options as far as lettuce goes. And if you go to Kroger and look, your options are definitely vast. There's a lot of different choices to choose from, even down to the point to where they're now growing a kale in a smaller version that makes it easier to eat. And there's still the larger kale. We'll use larger kale at home. We'll put a little olive oil, salt, and pepper on there and put it in the oven until it's crispy. So there's definitely a lot of different options of ways to use it and options to choose when you're going to choose what you're going to use for the day.
I could just see a new salad out there. Call it Kale Caesar. We have Aaron Neiman here with us, chef with the Kroger Company. You can find out all kinds of interesting things, everything from easy meals to different ideas for using all types of produce, but also heat and eat meals, things like that. You can find out more at Kroger.com, and it's a great resource for people who are especially trying to stretch that dollar to economize and make that work. We'll be back with Chef Aaron Neiman in just a moment here on Cooking for Yummies. We're back on Cooking for Yummy. Chef Aaron Neiman here joining us from the Kroger Company, and we've been talking in the first half of the show about everything from making your own pizza, maybe even getting the kids involved to help them become more of a foodie, if you will. Also, maybe making your own salad bar. And Kroger has a lot of heat and eat meals. But Chef Aaron Neiman is with us, and I wanted to talk for just a moment. And neither one of us are doctors. I just want everybody to know that neither one of us are doctors. But I wonder, sometimes we talk about hydration during the warm weather months, but it's really so important year-round. Obviously, liquid will give us that hydration. But in your opinion, Chef Neiman, again, neither one of us are physicians here, so don't take this to your doctor and say, oh, yeah, these guys said to do it. But it seems to me
not
that...
medical advice.
Right, this is not medical advice, but it seems to me that fruit sometimes can be just as good a source of that hydration, if you will, just because you get some good juicy grapes or a good juicy orange, or it seems to me that that can help with some degree of hydration.
Well, if you look at it from that direction, you have the fruits, so you are taking in some liquid. You know, the fruits are going to be juicy, but you're also going to be taking in some sugar, which is going to eventually convert into energy. Mm-hmm. But you're taking in vitamins as well. You're literally eating vitamins. So if you see those big, bright colors in all the foods that you're eating, those are literally vitamins that you're looking at. You see the bright orange and carrots, vitamins. You see the bright red. You see the bright greens, the bright yellows. Those are all vitamins that are going into your body. So if you look at it from that perspective, you're actually looking at a ton of different things that would assist you with energy and hydration. One of the main things you actually need in your body for hydration is sodium. So a lot of people, I think, might avoid that. And that's one of the things that's in something like, you know, a Gatorade or a Powerade that helps you feel re-energized and rehydrated.
You were talking about the fruits, especially. It's almost like big neon signs on the fruit saying, eat us, we're good for you.
They look good, they taste good, they do good. And, you know, they're not going to hurt you, obviously, unless there's an allergy there. But,
sure,
you know, you could sit down, you could eat your pizza, your salad, your fruits. And, you know, while the pizza might not be great for you, it does have the cheeses and the grains, the things that will be needed inside your diet, to where all those added fruits. And again, we go back to the salad. Throw some fruit in your salad. Maybe some almonds, some balsamic. Throw some raspberries in there. Throw some Parmesan from your pizza in there. There's definitely different ways to incorporate foods that maybe you don't think about. If you watch these cooking shows and you see the judges going ooh and ah, there's a good chance you're going to do it too. Going back to the kids thing and getting kids excited about eating, we have a rule in our house. I have a 5-year-old and I have a 7-year-old. It's a challenge to get kids to eat new things, right?
Yes.
So our rule is you try it once. If you say you don't like it, you can move on and you can go back to the thing that you do like. But now we've gone there, right? We've tried it. We've given it a shot, because sometimes they get in their head that I'm not going to like this before I like this.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It could be the appearance of something. It could be the smell of something, and that can all influence us. I want to come back to spinach for you, because that's one that in our house, we are a divided house on spinach. My wife loves spinach on everything, salad, pizzas. I think she would put it on sandwiches, everything like that. When I taste spinach, I don't taste anything. I don't know what it is, but my taster doesn't get spinach. And maybe I didn't watch enough Popeye cartoons growing up. I don't know, but it definitely is good for you, though.
You're not wrong. I mean, there's a lot of people that are not maybe consuming red meats or meats at all. And spinach is a great source of iron. Now, while you have to consume maybe 20 times the amount that you would beef, but it's still adding that mineral or that needed thing in your system, to where that iceberg isn't going to do it for you. And I think that's why a lot of people are reaching for these dark greens like the kales and the spinach, because by choosing these fresh items, right, we want to definitely shop produce openly. So during the summer seasons, there's definitely going to be fruits and vegetables that maybe you haven't tried before. Well, there's a reason they're there, right? Somebody's eating them. Maybe you want to try it and you don't know that you like it. So maybe instead of you have a normal meal one night, right? We go back to that bar concept. Maybe you shop produce and pick up 5 different items that day that nobody's tried in your household.
Yeah.
Maybe you stumble upon something that you find absolutely amazing, so that you have something new in your diet. To me, bringing home food, and we've talked about gathering around the table, right, and how it just brings that such a community thought. Think about bringing your family together and you all kind of taste it and laugh about maybe you didn't like it or maybe you absolutely loved it. But it brings you together, and you're definitely going to remember that experience. gathering together and exploring this jackfruit that you've never tasted before, or finding a gigantic durian and then bringing it home. There's a lot of different things in different stores, and I highly recommend just exploring. If you have 30 minutes to shop, you have 30 minutes to shop. But if you have nothing to do that day, definitely explore. Have some fun. Walk around.
Chef Aaron Neiman here with us from the Kroger Company. They have all kinds of great information at Kroger.com. And Chef Neiman, we have a couple of minutes left, and I know we talked about using the dark greens along with the iceberg lettuce. I think adding all of these colors can really help with the presentation. And especially if you have guests over, or you just want to inspire the family to be more excited about eating at home, let's say, putting something out there on the table that looks good adds to the acceptance, if you will, of maybe a new food.
Yeah, you definitely need to present it in an eye-appealing way. With your eyes first. You definitely smell the item, and you definitely see the item. You're not going to close your eyes and go dig into that plate. So if you're presenting something just the same way a restaurant would present something, if you're presenting it to a new guest or to your kids, you definitely want to put it in a way that looks eye-appealing. Maybe not put that burnt piece of toast on the plate, or maybe remake it. I'm guilty of burning a thing or two in my life. I'm definitely guilty.
I feel much better now. If Chef Aaron Neiman has burnt a few things, I burnt water. Anyway, but the other thing that you can do, I love the idea of having like maybe 5 or 6 new things on the salad bar or on some kind of a bar where everybody can try them. Treat it like the Olympics or something. Everybody gets to hold up a 1 or a 2 or a 10 or whatever of what they like about it and see what the family likes. And you might find out that you have some whole new favorite foods just by poking around in the produce section and really coming up with some neat ideas.
That Olympic idea is a really good idea.
Yeah, we could have fun with that. Turn it into a game, and it's a lot of fun. What are some of the things, Chef Aaron Neiman, in our final moments that you might want to challenge people to try? You mentioned jackfruit as one of them. What are some of the things that you find interesting that you might want to challenge people to try?
I guess I was poking around a little bit towards this. You get some fruits in that you walk up to get your grapes. You look and you see green, you see red, you see a little bit of the darker purple, and you look at those, and you don't even notice the cotton candy grapes sitting next to you.
What?
Or
Cotton
you
candy
go to pick
grapes?
Cotton candy grapes. So you
Wow.
go to pick out your berries, and you're looking at blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, and you don't even notice like the golden raspberries. I feel like Americans in general, we lead very busy lives. So if you take a step back and kind of walk through, and the best place to hide something is right in front of you, right?
Right.
So if you take a step back and look, maybe there's something there that you didn't even know was there, like a new squash, or during stone fruit season, maybe buy one of each of the stone fruits and figure out whether you like a peach or a nectarine or a plum. Find what you like, but have some fun with it. So like I said, you could choose those things that are very similar, or you could choose those things that are vastly different. Pick out 6 different apples.
Yes.
Discover maybe a new flavor of apple that you like. Fade away from the different ones. The amount of apples that we sell on a daily basis is absolutely wild. You could definitely pick out a few of each one and tell the difference of why this one's more bitter or more sweet or more acidic. This one would be great with an apple pie, but this one would be great with my granola in the morning. There's definitely differences. Maybe you have a vacation this summer and you don't go anywhere. Well, go somewhere in your kitchen. Travel in your kitchen. Try one of those recipes off of Kroger.com. Pick something out. Maybe you don't follow it to a T. Say, hey, I like this, but let's try that new Anaheim chili that we saw over there. And instead of a green pepper, we'll add the Anaheim chili and just find out what the difference is. It's a chili, but it's not a chili. You know what I'm saying? It's not spicy. It's definitely something that you could explore with. So maybe just switch it up a little bit like that. The way I like to look at recipes is for guidance. Maybe you're missing olive oil and you use vegetable oil. There's definitely different variations of what each kitchen is going to have. And even if 4 different chefs are making the exact same thing with the exact same ingredients, there's a good chance they're going to turn out different.
Right.
So definitely cook things your way, try new things. And my favorite word for the day is going to be adventure. Go on an adventure.
Exactly. And I was just going to play off of what you were saying before. If you don't go on a trip, make an apple passport with all the different apples. And every time you try one, you stamp it for the kids.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
a Fuji apple, a Golden Delicious, or all these different types of apples out there, and I've only hit some of the more common ones, but you could really make it almost like a game again with the kids to try different things so that they get a much more wide palette of appreciation of food. Well, Chef Aaron Neiman, thank you so much. This is always a delight to speak with you, and I love just confabbing about food, and we thank the Kroger Company for their support of this show, too. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for always having me. It's always a good time.
Thank you so much, Chef Aaron Neiman from the Kroger Company. You can find out a lot more at Kroger.com. And thanks for joining us here on Cooking for Yummies on WMKV and WLHS.
Thanks for joining us today for Cooking for Yummies, a presentation of WMKV, WLHS, and WMKVFM.org. Until next time, healthy and happy cooking.